Hi everyone, my name is Jonathan Strauss. I work here in the Future Students Office at the University of New South Wales. Thank you so much for joining us this evening for this Google Hangout on bonus points at the University of New South Wales. We're thrilled to take any questions that you may have. So if you do have those questions at the moment about bonus points here at the University of New South Wales, please do make sure that you're writing them into the Q&A app that's part of Google Hangouts. That should be appearing, I believe, on the right-hand side of your screen. If not, just check out that Google Hangouts area and you'll see a place to start submitting your questions. We actually already do have one question from one particular student, but we're going to quickly run through a few other things before we get to that question. So if you have those questions, do feel free to start adding them at any point, and we'll get to them as quickly as we can. So without further ado, I would like to introduce the three guests that we have with us here this evening. They are Sophie Burrows, who also works here in the Future Students Office. Sophie, would you like to say hello?
Hi, everyone.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Sophie. And now we also have with us Helen Bryson, who works in the scholarships office at UNSW and is head of our Elite Athlete and Support program here at the university as well. So Helen, would you like to say hello?
Sure, thanks Jonathan. Hi everyone.
Excellent, thank you Helen. And also with us is a current student this evening, so someone who studies here at the University of New South Wales and has a little bit of experience with bonus points. That is Pat Hoy. And Pat, would you like to say hello?
Hi guys, I'm in my 5th year of Electrical Engineering Commerce at UNSW.
Excellent. And Pat, I should also, full disclosure, works for our office as well. He is a student ambassador, so you may recognize him from some of the careers markets or school visits that we do throughout the year as well. So with that, I think we probably should jump right into bonus points. So Sophie, I'm going to go to you on this first question, which is, can you tell me what are HSC plus bonus points?
Okay, Jonathan, so HSC Plus are bonus points that are awarded to students for strong performance in Year 12 subjects that are relevant to the degree they want to do at UNSW. And students can actually get a maximum of 5 bonus points within the HSC Plus program.
Excellent. So that is added to their raw ATAR, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay, and who is eligible for HSC Plus bonus points?
Okay, so we're going to talk about this quite a bit this evening. So this is applicable to domestic students. So domestic students are Australian citizens, New Zealand citizens, and Australian permanent residents. So in terms of HSC Plus, it's applicable for domestic students who have completed their Year 12 in the year prior to admission to UNSW, and if they've received an ATAR.
Okay, excellent. And I should say this evening that the information that we're going to provide this evening is going to be to the best of our ability, but we may not be able to provide very, very, very specific advice to your specific situation. We may need to do that by gathering some additional information for you, but we'll let you know that if we see a question that we don't feel we're sure we can answer fully. So, and the people we're interviewing here, so Sophie, Helen, or Pat may say the same thing at some point, and we may need to then take our conversation offline and see what we can get in terms of some answers for you. So Sophie, thank you for answering that question about what are HSC Plus bonus points and who's eligible. Can you tell us a little bit about why the university introduced HSC Plus bonus points?
Yeah, absolutely. So at UNSW, we don't have any formal subject prerequisites for any of our degrees. We have what's called assumed knowledge. So basically, HSC Plus encourages students to do Year 12 subjects that are relevant to the degree that they want to do at UNSW. It just gives them, I guess, a really good base and prepares them for the demands of their first year of study at university.
Excellent. Do people need to apply for HSC Plus bonus points?
So no application is actually required for HSC bonus points. UAC actually awards them automatically. But what students can do is go to our website, so unsw.edu.au/HSC Plus, and there's a drop-down list, and they can pick the degree they're interested in, and it will show the subjects and the bands they would have to get, and how many bonus points would be added.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Sophie. I think I have a slide here that may be helpful to people so that they can see exactly what we're talking about. I'm just trying to bring that up at the moment, so bear with me for 1 second while I grab that, and hopefully I can share that. Does everyone see that now? You can see that that's HSC plus bonus points, that 5 maximum points, and then also the fact that they are applied automatically, and that HSC plus URL where you can see exactly what bonus points are available. So that's the HSC plus bonus point scheme there, and I think I'll come back to me now. Perfect, there we are. So with that, now I'd like to just quickly ask what is the elite athletes and performers bonus points? What are those bonus points? And I think I might hand that over to who wants to answer that question, Sophie or Helen?
I'm happy to cover that as well.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, so the Elite Athletes and Performers Bonus Points Program awards students who have excelled in areas of sport, academia, music, and leadership. So this is anything that has taken a considerable amount of time out of their Year 11 and or 12 study, and we award up to 5 bonus points through this program as well.
Excellent. So in referencing that, I've just shared this slide as well, which is Elite Athletes and Performers. Again, just echoing what Sophie said, 5 bonus points as well for outstanding and elite level performance in academics, leadership, music, or sport. And then that EAP website where you can find out more information there as well. So Sophie, can you tell me a little bit about the difference between HSC Plus and Elite Athletes and Performers? Specifically, that you mentioned before that HSC Plus is automatic and Elite Athletes and Performers bonus points isn't automatic.
Absolutely not. No. So the HSC Plus, it's awarded automatically through UAC. The Elite Athletes and Performers requires an application, and we need supporting documents from the students as well. So the applications for the Elite Athletes and Performers bonus points are now actually open. The application link can be found on the website, which is unsw.edu.au/EAP. And students have until the 30th of November, which is a Sunday, so Sunday the 30th of November, to submit their application along with their supporting documents.
Okay, so the 30th of November is the application deadline, and you do need to apply for those bonus points. Why did we introduce Elite Athletes and Performers bonus points?
I touched upon it briefly. It's basically time, it's considerable time that these students have put into these elite achievements. It's time taken away from their HSC study. So that's why we award it for achievements that have been obtained in years 11 and or 12.
And applications have definitely opened, correct?
Yes, they opened on Monday. Yep, so we've already had a steady stream of applications come in.
Excellent. And is there any advantage to applying early?
I guess it's a weight off students' minds before they start their exams. So if you've got time at the moment, get that application in, but you do have until the 30th of November. Okay,
excellent. I'm actually going to turn to one of the questions that has come up already from someone who's watching the Hangout at the moment. And one of them is sort of related to the bonus points, but also the Elite Athlete program, which Helen looks after, support program. So Helen, I'm going to turn to you to answer this question. And it comes from Jack Preddy, and he asks, are you under any obligation to play for the uni if you are part of the Elite Athlete program?
Good question, Jack. No, you're not under any obligation to play. We'll support, well, first of all, for the bonus points, you get awarded those whatever team or organisation you're playing for. Once you come to uni, you're not obliged to play for us to be part of the program. If you are applying for sports scholarships, though, and for example, our Ben Lexon scholarship, which is our highest level scholarship, we would expect you to play for UNSW. But just coming to university, we've got a lot of students here that play sport for different clubs. That's fine.
Excellent. Thank you for answering that, and thank you, Jack, for that question. Again, I'd encourage anyone who's watching and who wants to find out more or has a specific question, please feel free to put that question into the Q&A app here on the Google Hangout, and we'll do our best to get those questions answered as they come through. Pat, I'm just going to turn to you now and ask for what your experience has been with HSC Plus bonus points here at the university.
Yeah, so when I finished my HSC, I obviously submitted my UAC application, put in my preferences, and my first preference was engineering commerce. And when I put that in, I actually didn't really think that I was going to get the ATAR to get into that dual degree. So it was more of a kind of just putting what I really wanted to do first, and then a bit more realistic as I went down. And when I got my ATAR back, I actually just missed out by half a ATAR point in getting into the degree, into the dual degree. But actually, with the bonus points, HSC Plus, which was added on automatically, I got into the degree straight away. And I didn't actually realize until months later that my raw ATAR mark wasn't sufficient to actually get me into the dual degree. So it's great because you don't actually have to apply. That's automatically put on top of your ATAR when you get your feedback from UAC into what you've been accepted into. So it's really easy and definitely worked out perfectly for me, and I got into my dream degree at UNSW.
Excellent. Sophie, can I switch back to you now for just a question about HSC Plus and the subjects that apply and how those subject points work? So Pat has just mentioned that he got some HSC Plus bonus points for subjects, but how does that work? So is it that I do any particular subject and I can get bonus points for doing well in that, or does it have to be relevant to the degree I want to pursue at UNSW?
Yeah, absolutely. So the subjects that we will award points for, it totally depends on the degree that you're interested in studying. The easiest thing is for students to go onto the website. It's very easy to navigate. Again, it's unsw.edu.au/HSC Plus. They can list the degree that they're interested in, and it does show the subjects for that specific degree, the bands they would have to get, and then the bonus points we would award. So it definitely does depend on the degree you're interested in doing, the subjects that we would award points for.
And what kind of performance are we talking about? Are we talking about band 5s? Are we talking a range of band scores?
It's bands 4, 5, and 6.
And then again, and in terms of bonus points, how many bonus points per subject?
I believe it's sorry, say that again.
So how many points could you expect to receive on a per subject basis? Would it be like 1 or 2 points per subject?
1 or 2. Yeah, absolutely. 1 or 2.
And I think there are a couple occasions where people can get 3 bonus points for a band 6, but in rare circumstances.
Yeah.
So really, and then again, the important thing to remember there is that bonus points are up to a maximum of 5 for HSC Plus, correct?
Yeah, absolutely correct.
Now, this is one of those tricky questions. So everyone loves bonus points and wants to know more about them. So are you able to get more than 5 bonus points? Let's say I've done really, really well. Can I get 6 if I've done exceptionally well?
Okay, with each individual program, so with HSC Plus, no, it's an absolute maximum of 5. The same with the Elite Athletes and Performers bonus points. It's a maximum of 5 with that program. However, overall, it's a maximum of 10 bonus points. So essentially, with both HSC Plus and the Elite Athletes and Performers, a student could potentially get 10 bonus points.
Excellent. So again, just thinking about how that works, if I had an 85 ATAR and I had 5 HSC Plus bonus points and 5 EAP Elite Athletes and Performers bonus points, I would technically then have a selection rank at the University of 95, which would be a significant boost to your ATAR.
Yes, absolutely. You would need to bear in mind, though, that the Elite Athletes and Performers bonus points, they don't count towards medicine at UNSW, and they don't count towards any of our co-op degrees.
So that's, I think that's a great question. Let's clarify that across the board. So HSC Plus and Elite Athletes and Performers bonus points do have some limitations. They don't apply to every single degree.
Absolutely, yeah, they do have some limitations. If on each website the degrees are listed that are not included in these programs, so it is important for students to go on the website, both websites, and have a look to see the degrees that aren't included in these programs.
Excellent, thank you. So this is a tricky question that I didn't proof with you beforehand, but do we have an idea of how many average points someone might get through HSC Plus in general, or no?
Look, it really does depend on the subjects that they are doing and the degree they are interested in studying. So in terms of an average across the board, it definitely is more than possible for students to get the full 5 points. But yeah, unsure of the average.
Okay. I have a question here that says, I am not a high school leaver, but am I still eligible for HSC Plus bonus points?
Sorry, say that again.
So I'm not a high school leaver.
Yep.
Am I still eligible for HSC Plus bonus points?
Okay, so if you left high school, say a year ago, and you've got your ATAR, if you've just done a gap year, i.e. you haven't started any tertiary study, then yes, for that 1 year you would be eligible for the HSC Plus.
Okay, excellent. So with a single gap year, you can still apply.
A single gap year, yeah, as long as you haven't started any other tertiary study. And that's the same for the Elite Athletes and Performers program as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Sophie. I'm going to turn back to Patrick again now and say, Patrick, can you tell me a little bit more about what you're studying here at UNSW and what attracted you to it at the university?
Yeah, so I'm doing a dual degree in electrical engineering and in commerce. So in my commerce degree, I'm majoring in finance, and then obviously in my engineering, I'm looking at electrical. And so the reason I chose that dual degree is, first of all, when I was finished year 12, I really didn't know which one I preferred. I was interested in both, and it was a dual degree is a great way to experience and learn about both careers and the opportunities within both. And and turns out they complement each other quite well, because for engineering you're always going to go into business one day, or if you go into the commerce, it's great to have that kind of background knowledge in a different field.
So what made you choose UNSW? What was it about the university that was the selling point for you? Yeah,
so the great thing about UNSW is it offers so many scholarships. So one of the biggest deciding factors for me was that I'd actually applied for a rural scholarship, and I was fortunate enough to be successful in my application. So that was definitely a big draw card for me to come to UNSW. But also it has such a great reputation. So obviously I'd always regarded UNSW as one of the top universities in Australia, and I really wanted to go study at one of the top universities.
Excellent, thank you. So now let's turn to some sport-related questions and the Elite Athletes and Performers bonus points. So that's going to go to you, Helen. I have a student here who is Josh Jongma, who has asked, are the bonus points based upon time commitment or performance level for an elite athlete? Which is it, or is it a combination of both, or what would you say?
Oh, excuse me. It is a combination of both, but it is more performance-based. We do have a table that's on the website, which it's a sliding scale for the elite athlete and performers from 1 to 5. So, for example, if you're representing Australia in like under 19 age, or lucky enough to be in an open team, you'd get the maximum of 5 points. However, if you represent your school or state schools, the New South Wales system, you'd get 2 points. So we start at 1, which is talented athlete program, going right up to 5, which is representing Australia or playing professional sport, AFL, NRL, things like that. But there's a lot of variations between a 1 and 5, and some situations might come up that aren't on this table. Still, I would suggest people apply and put all their supporting documents, and we will definitely be looking at amount of time spent in training away from school, but mainly we do look at the level of performance.
Excellent, thank you, Helen. And Helen, I might direct this to you, although Sophie may want to chime in as well. You mentioned that we have to submit supporting documentation for the achievements that we have with elite athletes and performers. So that's whether you are an athlete or you've done an AMEB grade 8 for music or gold Duquesne, you have to submit some sort of certified documentation.
Yes.
What kind of stuff would that be for sport?
Well, for the sports, yeah, I would need sort of a lot of people put in references or letters from their school or their coach if they're playing a high-level sport outside of their school. What we need is documentation to verify. Say, Jonathan, you said, look, I've represented New South Wales at the national championships. Well, I'd want a letter to from an official body, from the school or from that particular sports agency, like baseball or whatever, saying Jonathan Strauss represented New South Wales at the national championships, and that document would then have to be verified, certified by a Justice of the Peace, and uploaded with the application.
And Jonathan, can I interrupt there? I think it's also important for students to know that when they submit their application, when it comes to assessing the applications, if Helen or I aren't happy with the level of supporting documents, we will always contact that student and ask for more. So we're not just going to shut them down and say, no, your documents weren't good enough. We will get back to them and ask for more supporting documents. So what's really important is they get that application in, provide whatever they've got that's certified, and if we do require more, we will ask.
Excellent. So just kind of following up, so Helen has given some examples of what you might need as supporting documentation for sport. Sophie, can you give us some examples of what you might need for supporting documentation for everything that's covered under elite athletes and performance bonus points that aren't sport?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important to note that anything, for example, school captain or cadet under officer, we normally require an official letter from the school or the commanding officer. So basically what we mean by official documents is on an official letterhead, it's properly signed, and it outlines that, yes, that student has completed achieved the rank of cadet under officer or school captain. We need official documents. Things like music, grade 8, normally we require the certificate. We do understand that sometimes the ceremonies are later on in the year and they can't actually get the actual certificate. We will look at the examiner's report, and then it will be confirmed with the governing body. So for music, it would be the AMEB. It would be confirmed with them that that student had achieved the level that they are applying for.
Now, Helen, you may be best to answer this next question. This question comes from Hugh Gabor, and he's been very patient. It's one of the first questions, in fact, and I think it's a good question, and I think you will have an answer for it, which is this. If I competed internationally just days before the official start of Year 12 of the HSC course at my school, would I still be eligible for bonus points?
Yes, we look at achievements in Year 11 and 12, so anything that you competed in either Year 11 or 12, we definitely will assess.
And so Hugh's case is that he's done this international competition just before the start of Year 12. If he'd done that in Year 11, it would still apply.
It would apply. We have had questions previously that some schools start their HSC at the end of Year 10 and they don't do anything in Year 11 or 12, but we won't count those achievements. We start at the beginning of Year 11 because each school's a bit different when they start.
Excellent. So that answered that question. Thank you, Hugh, for that question. Sophie, did you have something to add there?
Yeah, Jonathan, I might just add in there from what Helen said. So what Helen was referring to, and just to elaborate on it, so UNSW, along with the Board of Studies, for this year, we recognise the beginning of Year 11 as commenced in Term 1 2013. Okay. So we won't accept anything if students started Year 11 studies, but they were technically still in Year 10, which would have happened in 2012. We won't accept that.
Okay, thank you very much. There's a question here from Sean Thompson, and if I could just ask Sean to clarify what his question is, that would be really great. So we're not technically going to answer Sean's question until I understand a little bit more. So Sean, if you could just add maybe another question in or edit that question just so I understand what you're hoping to find out there. Is it that you want clarification about what's included there? But anyway, Sean, if you can do that, that would be great. I would now like to go to Helen again and say there's a question here from Jamie Ridge, which says, is there a limit to which sports that athletes must be involved in to qualify for elite athletes and performers?
No, there's no limit. As long as it's a recognised sport, not tiddlywinks or something, but we have had a few over the years that Sophie and I have debated, but all recognised sports which are supported by Australian Sports Commission. There's no limit, and one sport is enough. I'm not sure if that's what you mean, or
I think that Jamie's question is just, is there a limit to the number of sports that might be included? But you're
no. Actually, if you're asking from that point of view, if you excel in more than one sport, that's the other thing. You can have cumulative, like if you represented your state schools for swimming and athletics, you can get 2 for swimming, 2 for athletics, so you would get 4. So you can have more than one sport, if that's what you're asking, to make up to the 5 points. Yeah. And
then I think your other point was also very, very legitimate, and maybe what Jamie was asking as well is, essentially we're looking for sports that are qualified as sports by another body, that someone else recognizes that it's a sport.
Yeah, that the Australian Sports Commission sort of supports. There are a few sort of out there sports, but generally, I mean, it is a case-by-case situation, and I will assess on the documents provided, but generally it would be the sports as documented on the Australian Sports Commission website.
So now, does international hula hooping fit there, or does it not quite?
International what? What's it?
Hula hooping.
Hula hooping.
Not quite?
No, we wouldn't assess that.
Thank you, Helen. And
unless we saw the demonstration.
A demonstration for me, excellent, wonderful. Well, thank you, Jamie, for that question. I don't think it's probably what Jamie was looking for, but hopefully that has answered your question. Thank you very much. There's another question here now from, I just want to go down to, sorry, just quickly. This comes from, the question is, my team won the New South Wales state title for the Premier's Debating Challenge, and the bonus points list mentions state-based competitions. We are aware that people in previous years have gained bonus points from winning the PDC, but we're wondering if we are still eligible. So I think that's going to go to Sophie. Are you familiar with the Premier's Debating Challenge?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think at this stage it's very important to note that the Elite Athletes and Performers bonus points program goes under review every year. So if students have got the points previously, there is absolutely no guarantee that the points will be available for this year. So that really is important to bear in mind when you're thinking about the bonus points that you will be eligible for. My advice would be for them to submit their application, provide the supporting documents, and the Elite Athletes board will get together, we'll have a discussion, and we'll see if it meets a number of our criteria. But it is a wonderful achievement, and when you're doing things like this, bonus points aside, you must always remember that taking part in activities like the Premier's Debating Challenge is wonderful when you're applying for scholarships. So always mention these great achievements when you are applying for scholarships, even if they're not eligible for bonus points.
And I think you've made two really good points there, Sophie. One being that participation isn't, just because it's been listed previously doesn't mean that you'll get a guaranteed bonus point in the future. But then more importantly, that the participation you're doing is because you enjoy doing hopefully what it is you're involved in. And then also that there is the extra perk that it can definitely make you more eligible for scholarships, and that's scholarships offered by the university, or potentially even external scholarships offered by local community groups and clubs and associations as well. So definitely, and sorry, another point you made, which I think is really important, is that it's always submit. If you think you've got something that's been completed at an elite level, submit an application and provide your supporting documentation, and it will be assessed. And we can keep our fingers crossed and hope that it'll be successful for you. We don't know, obviously, but just make sure that you do submit that application so that it can be assessed. I think that leads to a good question for you, Sophie, which is, so how do you actually apply for EAP bonus points?
Okay, so you head to the website. So unsw.edu.au/EAP. You scroll down, there's a how to apply section, and there is a link. You click on the link and it will ask you for your email address and UAC number. Once you fill those details in, a link to the application will be sent to your email. It's a very straightforward application. You can upload your supporting documents directly to that application and submit it. Once that application is assessed, and the turnaround at the moment is very quick, as application numbers pick up, then it may take about a week to 2 weeks for students to hear back from us. But they will receive an email saying that their application has been either unsuccessful or successful, and we will tell them how many bonus points we will be awarding them.
Okay. Helen has covered this a little bit before in terms of certified documentation, but can you just qualify for me again how it is I go about getting certified documents? Who can certify documents? How do I give them to the university? Do I drop off hard copies or do I upload them? How does that work?
Okay, so basically we require certified documents because we can't actually see the original document, so for example a certificate. We basically need somebody to say that, yeah, the document that's uploaded for the application is an exact match to the original, say, certificate. Now, the easiest place to go, it's a Justice of the Peace, and they can be found at every post office and every police station. There should be a Justice of the Peace. You need to take the original copy to them and a photocopy of the original, and they will stamp the photocopy to say that it is an exact copy of the original document. You then upload that to your application, and that's it. Very easy.
So just to clarify, we do not accept original documents delivered to the office, whether it's hard copy or anything. You must upload them via your application.
Absolutely. My desk is messy enough without adding original documents to it. We don't expect students to provide them to us. We want them to keep them safe and sound forever. We do not want any hard copies.
Here's a really good question from Frank Builders, and Frank is asking, hey, all, just wondering the recommended length or the detail necessary to answer the particular question on the application for elite athletes and performers, which is, please outline how your achievements have been affected, or sorry, can't see the rest of the question. I think you know the question. How have your achievements
affected your year 11 or 12 studies? Okay, look, there's absolutely no limit. We don't want an essay at all. That's not what we're expecting. I would say this is more, that area, that question is more for achievements that may be a kind of a bit obscure or maybe outside of the table, the recommended list of achievements. It just gives us a bit more understanding of actually the time commitment that students have put into this. So Frank, really, when we receive the applications, it ranges from 2 sentences to a couple of paragraphs, but we don't require more than a couple of paragraphs.
Excellent, thank you. I now have a question here from Bryce, who has also been very patient waiting for an answer. And Helen has already answered part of this question, but there's another part that we might get that's a little bit more specific. So are there any sports that aren't recognized for elite athletes and performers bonus points? And are there different rankings for national events? So the first part of that answer is that yes, there are probably sports that are not recognized because they aren't recognized by an Australian body for sport, as Helen indicated before. But now, Helen, I'll go with the second part of the question, which is, are there different rankings for national events? For example, is an Australian schoolboys event equivalent to an Australian Opens event?
Yeah, no, it's not, Jonathan. That comes up a lot, and a lot of people do apply under the wrong categories. If you do have a look on the points table, which is on the internet. It's a sliding scale, as I mentioned before. But for example, state schools representation would be worth 2 points. If you're lucky enough to make the Australian schoolboys or schoolgirls, that's an extra point. That's 3 points. But if you do make an Australian underage team, like under 17s, or an Australian Open team, as it's the case in some with some athletes, you would get 5 points. So school boys and schoolgirls achievements representing school is a less total in the bonus points. Like if you're representing Australia, which is open to all ages, that's worth 5 points, but Australian schools is 3 points.
Excellent, thank you, Helen. I now have a question here from Jackie Sum, which says, hi, what if my achievement is not listed on the bonus points table? I've achieved a music achievement from another music association rather than the AMEB. do we consider such applications? So Sophie, can you answer that for us?
Yeah, we've touched briefly upon this. Yes, absolutely. If you think that your achievement is on par with, for example, we'll use your example of the AMEB, then yes, absolutely get that application in. The EAP board will then assess it and determine whether it is an elite achievement and how many bonus points we would award that achievement. So absolutely get that application in. If you have any concerns after this Google Hangout, any questions can be directed to the EAP email, which is eap@unsw.edu.au, and we will answer any questions you have. But yes, absolutely, submit an application if you feel your achievement could fall under the EAP program.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Sophie, and thank you, Jackie Sum, for that question as well. For those of you who are still watching at home, I would definitely recommend that if you have specific questions that you add them to the Q&A app as part of the Hangout, and we'll definitely get to those as we can. I have another question here from Jamie Ridge, which is one we've sort of touched on already, but we'll answer it again, which is, when is the best time to submit an application for EAP bonus points?
Yeah, as I said, look, it's one of those things. The applications are now open, and students have until the 30th of November to get their applications in. If it's something that you feel you would just like to get out of the way and have one less pressure before your exams, then get that application in now. Alternatively, you can wait till after your exams and do it then. It totally depends. They are open the entire time. It's whatever makes students, I guess, feel more comfortable going into their exams.
Excellent, thank you very much, and thank you, Jamie, for that question. Also, just to clarify, HSC Plus bonus points, that's the other bonus point scheme we're talking about this evening, that doesn't require an application, correct? It's automatic.
No application is required for HSC Plus, but students can go onto the website, unsw.edu.au/HSC Plus, put in the degree that they're interested in studying, and it will show them the subjects and the bands that we would require and how many bonus points we would award them.
Excellent, thank you for that again. I would like to, actually I have a good question here from Kenneth Lung as well, which is, hi, I was wondering if your Gold Duke of Ed would be eligible for EAP bonus points if you started it at the end of year 10 but completed it in late year 11.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it would. Yeah, easy.
And that's because you completed it, that qualification was completed in year 11 or year 12, and elite athletes and performance bonus points are applicable for any achievements you've had in year 11 or year 12. It doesn't matter when you started it, as long as you achieved it, completed it in year 11 or year 12. So
yeah.
Thank you, Kenneth.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Sophie.
Just for Helen and I, when we're looking at these applications, we will be looking for those. So, for example, the Gold Duke of Ed certificate would say from 2013. And for applications this year, Helen and I are looking for those certificates that say 2013 and 2014. So, yeah, Kenneth would be absolutely fine.
Excellent. Thank you, Kenneth, for that question, and Sophie for answering. Hey, Pat, I'm not forgetting about you. I'm going to come back to you right now and just ask an unbonus points related question. What has been one of the highlights of your experience here at the university so far?
Yeah, so there's been lots of things over the years at UNSW. There's lots of different activities you can get involved in. But one of the highlights for me would definitely be the opportunity to go on exchange. So I went to the University of Michigan in America for one semester, and I had a really great time, met lots of people from not only America, but there was also a whole host of other exchange students that I got to meet up with, and now I get to visit them when I go traveling throughout the world. So it's been a really awesome experience and made lots of contacts.
Excellent. And you're not local to Sydney, right? You grew up on the far north coast, yeah? Yeah,
far north coast of New South Wales. So yeah, so moving to Sydney was a big change for me, and definitely a very exciting thing to do. And I actually moved on campus, and the great thing about UNSW is there's lots of accommodation on campus, and it's a great way to meet lots of new people who are also, you know, maybe not from Sydney, or who just want to move on to see what campus life is like.
And now Sophie touched on this a little bit before, and I'm going to ask you your thoughts on this as well. So Sophie mentioned that even if you might not be eligible for Elite Athletes and Performers bonus points because of something you completed during high school, those are things that can really strengthen your scholarship application potentially. And I happen to know that you are a scholarship holder, or were a scholarship holder here at the university as well. What would you say about applying for scholarships at the university?
Yeah, definitely. Things like debating is obviously going to look really good on your application. And it doesn't have to just be debating. It can be things like doing part-time work while you're at school, or any different hobbies you have that might make you sound a little bit more interesting. And you're doing things outside of the classroom that makes you kind of a candidate that we want to get at the university that would be active member in the community. And not only for that, it's actually eventually once you go to university or once you leave school, you'll be looking for jobs. Again, it looks really good on your resume and things like that. So there's definitely it's definitely worthwhile to get involved in many activities and groups at school as you can, because it's of course it's lots of fun, but also it has lots of long-term benefits.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Pat. Didn't want to forget about you back there in the land of Studentville. I have a question now for, actually a question from Frank again. Frank, Sophie, you answered one of his questions just before, and he has thanked you for answering that question, so thank you, Sophie. And he's just also looking for some clarification. So once he submits an application for Elite Athletes and Performers bonus points, when does he get a response back detailing whether they're eligible points or not? And how long after submitting the application would you expect to receive a verdict, which sounds very, very serious?
Okay, so yes, we absolutely do send an email to the students once we've assessed the application to let them know whether they are eligible for the bonus points and how many bonus points we have awarded them. It's very hard to say how long it will take. Frank, just as an example, applications opened on Monday, and Helen and I have already received 65 students who have started an application. So, and we've had about 6 people who have actually submitted an application. So at the moment, the turnaround time is very quick. But it does build up. Last year, Helen and I had over 1,000 applications. So I'm sure you can imagine towards the closer you get to the deadline of the 30th of November, the more applications we receive, and it does take us a little bit longer to assess them and to respond to students. So at the moment, it could be a matter of days that you would hear back from us with a verdict. But closer to the deadline, it would be about 2 weeks turnaround time.
Excellent. So that's great. So again, apply early, and it's something you can just get out of the way and even have a result potentially before the HSC exams do start in October.
Yeah. And Jonathan, I might just point out at this stage as well, if your application for EAP bonus points is successful, that doesn't guarantee you a place at UNSW. You still do need to meet the cutoff requirements for the degree for that year. The bonus points are just a way of helping you boost up that ATAR. But if your application for EAP bonus points is successful, it is not a guarantee for a place at UNSW.
Excellent. Thank you for clarifying that, Sophie. I think the next question we have is from Alicia Cousins, and it's something we've talked about a little bit this evening already. I'm actually going to share my screen and show this particular slide, which is the Elite Athletes and Performers bonus points slide. Alicia's question is, what is the deadline for Elite Athletes and Performers bonus points applications? And they are, those applications do close on the 30th of November. They opened this past Monday, and so do get those applications in as soon as you can, and it means you'll get an answer more quickly as well. If you don't have documentation ready yet, or it won't be available until closer till the 30th of November, don't freak out. You still have that time, but if you can get it in, definitely do that as you can ahead of time.
Jonathan, I'm sorry, I may just butt in again. I'd also like to add that after the 30th of November, we will not accept any applications for the Elite Athletes and Performers. We have to be fair and across the board with all the students who have applied on time. So there is absolutely no way that we will accept applications after the 30th of November. So it really is important that you get those applications in. If you are concerned about getting supporting documents in time, then please contact us and we can talk you through it and see what we can do. There is nothing we can do after the 30th of November. So if you are concerned about that supporting documents, please contact us, either the Future Students Office, so you can phone us on 93851844, or email eap@unsw.edu.au.
Excellent, and we'll throw that up onto the screen now for everyone to see as well. So if you do have questions about really anything here at the University of New South Wales, whether it's degrees, bonus points, accommodation, scholarships, anything, do feel free to contact us here in the Future Students Office. And again, as Sophie mentioned, that phone number is 02-9385-1844. And you can certainly send us an email inquiry via our inquiry website, or an EAP, Elite Athletes and Performers specific question, via the EAP email address being eap@unsw.edu.au. So I thank her, I think that was her, I don't remember what her name was, for that question. And Helen, I'd just like to turn to you for a few clarifications on the types of sport and the types of activity, the level of activity I might need to have in order to get bonus points through Elite Athletes and Performers bonus points. The question here is, I play soccer on the weekend for my local club. Can I get bonus points?
No, not just playing soccer for your local club. You have to be at some level of representation, like eliteness. So if you played, like in the top league in New South Wales, we would, if that's your club, we would look at that. But if you're just playing for your local club in a sort of a district competition, no. So it is an Elite Athlete and Performers program, so you do need some level of representative sport.
Okay, thank you, Helen. Again, if there's anyone else who still has any questions, please feel free to put those questions into the Q&A app. We're running out of time here, but you do have a couple of minutes still left to answer, or to put in any of those questions that you may have via the Q&A app. Helen, I have another question for you that you have, again, spoken to a little bit before, but can you combine sport, Elite Athletes and Performers bonus points with something else, like music or leadership or something else?
Definitely, Jonathan, and we do get quite a few students that do that. For example, you could have your gold Duke of Ed, and you could be, any sort of sporting bonus point, like you could play representative sport. Definitely you can combine your sport with your music or your Duke of Ed. Some people do get a point for this, 2 points for that, and 3 points for something else. Like you could have your music, your Duke of Ed, and your sport. No problem combining it, as long as you've got all the supporting documents. Yeah, maximum of 5, as Sophie mentioned earlier.
Okay, and now I just have a question for Sophie about Duke of Ed, because I know that this is one that comes up quite a bit. Duke of Ed Gold, what if I'm not going to complete my Duke of Ed Gold? I won't have my certificate in time for the application deadline of the 30th of November. What do I do? Am I still eligible to apply?
Okay, there is a difference between not completing the Duke of Ed on time and not receiving your certificate to provide as supporting documents, and that's quite important. If you have completed your Duke of Ed and the Duke of Ed board have your book and they're looking to sign off on that, then that's something that we can definitely work with and look to award you those bonus points, but you would need to get in contact with us to discuss that. If you aren't going to complete your Duke of Ed in time, so before the 30th of November, unfortunately the student would not be eligible for the bonus points.
Okay, thank you, Sophie. And Helen, one last question for you again. And again, we've spoken about this a little bit, but I think it's worth repeating. What if your achievement isn't listed on the bonus points table on the website? Are you out of luck, or should you still apply?
No, you should still apply, and yeah, I meant to include this in a previous answer. Definitely, this list of the bonus points is a guide. I mean, it is prescriptive, but there are achievements that fall outside these categories. Every sport is organised a bit differently with their representative teams. So definitely, if you think you're playing at an elite level, submit your application and supporting documentation, because the situations mentioned on these tables are not totally exhaustive. So, you know, as long as it's a recognised sport, definitely put your application in.
Excellent. Sophie, I have another question here for you. What about if I'm completing, this is going back to HSC plus bonus points, what if I am completing the IB? What happens? Do I still get HSC plus bonus points? How do I figure out what my subject equivalents are? How does that all work?
Yeah, absolutely. So this goes back to my very first point, which is these bonus points are for domestic students. So domestic students we classify as Australian citizens or permanent residents, and New Zealand citizens and permanent residents. Now, with these bonus points, you don't have to just be sitting the HSC. You can be sitting an interstate or an international equivalent. So we will definitely look at the VCE, QTAC, IB, A-levels, etc. You just have to be a domestic student.
Okay, and then if you are a domestic student and you're doing the International Baccalaureate, do you find subject equivalents through the UAC website, and then?
Yes, absolutely. So if you go to our website, again, the unsw.edu.au/HSC+, there is a link there that you can click to say, I'm sitting the IB, what are the equivalent subjects? So yeah, absolutely, they can certainly eligible for HSC+, and they can definitely apply for the Elite Athletes and Performers bonus points. The important thing is these two schemes are for domestic students.
Excellent, thank you, Sophie. Helen, Sean hasn't been able to clarify his question, but I think we'll ask it anyway just to make sure that we've covered it. So Sean has asked a question. Sean Thompson has asked, my question is in regard to EAP bonus points under sport with 4 points ranked in the top 10 in Australia individual by age group, e.g. 17s. Can you expand on what that might be, what's included under that category?
Yeah, that sort of category is aimed at individual sports that don't, like in other situations, like you can represent New South Wales, or if you play a professional sport, you're representing a team, but there's individual sports like martial arts and things like that they end up with a ranking, you know. You can go to a national tournament and finish 5th, for example. So we'll give you like 4 points if you're in the top 10, whereas because it's a bit different to saying I'm representing New South Wales at a national tournament. So it's for the individual sports, basically.
Okay, excellent. So that clarifies that, and thanks, Sean, for that question.
Sorry, Jonathan, I just all of these students, and especially Sean, because I guess maybe we did need a bit more information from you, please contact us tomorrow or anytime this week, next week, until whilst the applications are open, and we'll definitely help you with clarifying your question.
Excellent, thank you for that, Sophie. And I think I will put up the screen for our questions. If you do have any questions, again, please don't hesitate to contact us in the Future Students Office on these details if there's anything that we can help you with. Again, about bonus points, HSC plus bonus points, or Elite Athletes and Performers bonus points, or again, anything else here at the university, whether it's degrees or scholarships, accommodation, anything you're looking for, please don't hesitate to contact us here in the Future Students Office. I'd also like to end this evening, first of all, thank you to Sophie, Helen, and Patrick for being here to answer your questions. I'd also like to point out that we do have Open Day coming up here at the university on the 6th of September. So Saturday the 6th of September is Open Day, and I'm just trying to cleverly share my screen so that you can see a little Open Day ad. It is from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. It is a brilliant opportunity for you to ask these questions face-to-face if you didn't want to ask one this evening, or if you even want to just clarify anything a little bit more. Please do attend Open Day. It is a huge day on campus. About 24,000 people attended Open Day last year. It runs 9 to 4, and my one tip for you would be to make sure that you plan your day via the Open Day website before you get to the university, because it can make a big difference in terms of you making sure that you see the lectures and get the questions answered that you have. that's it. Thank you so much for joining us at this Google Hangouts this evening. We will definitely respond to Matt G. and Sean Thompson via email so that they can get their questions answered. And again, please don't hesitate to contact us with any other questions. And thank you so much for joining us. Have a lovely evening. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, thanks.